Are you a fresher, or do you have experience 1 to 4 years of experience in Java? Have you attended any interview, or are you preparing for any interview as a Java developer? Minimum 3 questions can be asked in these Java interviews. What is method overloading? What is the difference between method overloading and method overriding? What is recursion? Wow. How does recursion work? What do you mean by variable arguments, etc.? I have conducted more than 3000 interviews in my career, and I have seen most of the students most of the freshers or the new developers being asked this question. Welcome back to Java full stack development series. I'm Achula Ramakrishna here, and I'm welcoming all of you for this particular video. This is the part 2 of methods in Java. In the previous video, we have discussed the concept of methods, how does method works, etc., and we have done some basic programming to learn about how method works. This is a live real world coding exercise session. We are going to use Eclipse, and we're going to get into it, and we're going to discuss a couple of interview questions. There are only 3 important things which we will discuss: method overloading, pass by value, and variable arguments. We'll do recursion too. Wow, let's get started. Now, what exactly is method overloading? Now, let me open a new class. I have already created the Eclipse project, and then I'll say method overloading program. Now, if you have, let's say that you wanted to add 2 numbers, so you say public int add, and you will say add num1 comma add num2. Okay. Now, we'll say return a plus b. There are other programming languages like C, C++, etc. Now, let me correct it, num1 plus num2. Okay. Now, when we come here, we do system.out.println, and then you say add of 100 comma 200. Now, you can actually see where did we go wrong. It says this has to be a static method. And that's right. Now, I'll explain static in the sessions when I get into object oriented programming. Yes, after having a good coffee, it's right thing to get started. Now, can you imagine having more than function with the same name in C programming language? Absolutely no. But in Java, it is possible. Now, let me define what is method overloading. Method overloading is the ability to have more than one method have the same name. Simple. So, this is method 1 and this is method 2. Now, I am trying to retain the same name. So, what will I do? I will change the number of arguments, let's say. So, Java allows more than one method to carry the same name. Hooray! Now, there are 2 functions over here. The first function is add with 3 arguments. The second function is add with 2 arguments. Now, when we go back to calling the functions, let me pass. Okay. Now, run Java application. Wow, it works. So, there are 2 things which you have to understand from the user who is using the method, from the method developer's perspective. Method developer is only giving you the flexibility so that the same name can be used for more than one function, correct? Whereas the user doesn't know also that whether it is one function or 2 functions. He thinks that whatever arguments I pass, this actually works. Now, let us actually let us use this concept even more. Now what we will do is we will change the data types. Okay, now there is a difference, sorry, okay, there is a difference between this method and this method. Okay, now this add method is taking two integer parameters, function arguments, and returning an integer, whereas this add function is taking two double values and returning this. Technically they are two different functions. So when I say system.out.println and then say add of 1.3 comma 4.5, correct, now this also works. Let's go and let us go even more. Okay, now let us say string str1 string str2, and here let us put str1 and str2. The return type also has to be of string type. The return type is also has to be the string type. Now if I say system.out.println add and then say hello and world, correct. Now what has gone wrong, everything is correct. Every time when we go wrong, right, you need to have small patience. There is absolutely no need to press the panic button. See, it works. You just need to take a deep breath for 5 to 10 seconds. You'll figure out what the problem is. What if error comes, right? Now you see that there are four functions carrying the same name. One 2 integer arguments, one 3 integer arguments, one 2 double values, and 3 thing. Now let me check something. Okay, I'll actually try. Okay, okay, now okay, I'll try with this. Now can I return with int it cries? See, I still have the error, right? It's like a duplicate method and all. So this is one of the criteria. Now let me actually define it. What is method overloading? If let's say an interviewer asks Ram, tell me what is method overloading. You should say method overloading is a feature of Java where we can have the same name to more than one method. That is the ability to have more than one method having the same name. And then you should say as long as, right, the number of arguments are different, the type of arguments are different, but cannot differentiate based on return type. So let me I'm going to check in all these programs into GitHub and share the link in the description. Now this is how you need to answer. If anyone, let me tell you exactly for these coding interviews, whenever, or programming interviews, whenever any question is asked, your answer has to be crisp. The first thing is you should not panic. Second thing, you should not answer in a generic way. No. You should actually be very confident. So let's say I'm attending the interview. I'm a fresher, 1 or 2 years of experience, and somebody asks me, "Hey Ram, tell me what is method overloading?" You say method overloading is a feature in Java where we can have more than one method carrying the same name, as long as the number of arguments are different, the type of arguments are different, and but we cannot differentiate on the return type. But answering the question in a pure theoretical manner you might confuse the interviewer. So what you say that let's have a, so we can, let's think about it of adding two numbers. So I can have an add function which takes two integer arguments and return one integer. I can also have another add function with the same name carrying two double values and return double values, or one more method carrying two string values and return string values. Java allows. And then if you say C as a programming language doesn't allow, then the interview will know that you know the best. So any question asked in interviews, try to answer in less than 30 seconds to 1 minute. Your punch answer has to get in with relative ease. You should actually talk the answer. You should not prepare the answer and tell. You should actually talk the answer in your own language. Then the percentage of you getting the job increases tremendously. All the best. This whole uh, YouTube series is for the for the participants, or for the students and the working professionals who are going to attend the Java interviews. I wish good luck to everyone. Now let's get on. So we have done method overloading the and okay, good. Now we need to get into variable arguments. This is a fantastic story. Okay. Now let us actually try to add two numbers. So you can say yeah, varargs program. This is your second interview question. You know, I will basically ask what is variable arguments, because I'll think that this is something which the the candidate might have not figured out, kind of thing. Now let's say public int add, and then int, let's say, you see here, right, score marks, or okay, let's go for this average only. The return type is double, and then you have the score. Int sum is equal to 0 for int s, and then scores. Remember the last for thing which we discussed, and then you say if s is greater than max, then max is equal to s. No, we are trying to say sum plus equal to s. Yeah, return okay. Now this is a very simple program. This logic calculates the average. Let's say I have 4 scores. Now the loop repeats 4 times and then adds all the scores into the sum. Now what is an average? The total sum divided by the number of scores. So if I say system.out.println, correct, and then I say average, we have to declare this as static, right? So let me declare this as static average, and let's say I scored 56, 67, 78. Yeah, now you see here, when I run the program I get 67. Now let me show the magic. Now let's say that I want to do it for more number of students. This works. So what do you mean by variable arguments? Now let me explain. What do you mean by vargs? Vargs stands for variable arguments. That means we can pass any number of arguments, but data type should be same. Okay. So in case if you've been asked this question, what is variable arguments in an interview? Okay, you say that variable arguments is another feature of Java where we can pass as many number of arguments to a function. Okay, so let's have a function called average. And how do you declare variable args? You put triple dot, tuck tuck tuck, int dot 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 score. Now you need to use this for each loop and you're calculating the sum. And you see line number 17 and 18. The first function is passing 3 arguments and the second function is passing 7 arguments. This particular thing is done. So when you're not sure, how many scores you have to add. If somebody says that, this class has got 5 students, this class has got 10, this class has got 25. Okay, I am not sure how many scores I'm going to pass on, then you can't use a normal the number of arguments are not fixed. When the number of arguments are not fixed, then you actually go for variable args. So I wanted to tell you, if the interviewer gives a paper and pen to you, okay, and then write this piece of code and show it, and then say that, please see here, sir, in dot dot, this is how the variable arguments have been mentioned. I love this program actually. It is so clear, right? Are you liking my YouTube videos? I hope so. Can you please subscribe this channel? Many more to come. Okay. Now the third and the interesting question is the recursion. I'll tell you, there is a big phobia people will have on recursion. Okay, so first of all, if people say what exactly is a recursion, the first thing what you say that a function or a method calling itself, correct? The next question people will ask, how does recursion work? You say recursion uses stack concept. That means all the functions are actually put in a stack. Now let us calculate let us calculate the factorial of a number. So if I say factorial and then you say int num, and then you say while num not equal to 0, correct? You say int j is equal, okay, while num is greater than 0, correct? You say int fact is equal to 1, correct? And you say fact is equal to fact into num. You can actually say num is equal to num minus 1, and then you can say return fact. So this is a very simple logic where you can, if you say system.out.println, you say factorial of 5. Okay, now this is how 120 is that. Now most of the students who do engineering, right, they've been asked, write this code in recursion and all kinds of things. That's very interesting, right? Now please see here, you can rewrite this particular function using recursion. So how does recursion work? Now you can actually see here, I can actually write here, okay, let me try this. Public static int factorial and then int n or int num. Now what are you trying to say? That is, if num is, look at that condition, less than equal to 1, correct? Less than equal to 1, that means either it is 0 or 1. So I'll say return 1. Else you say return factorial, return factorial of num minus 1. So for now, right, let us comment this fellow, because this is the previous style of coding. Now this is how you do it. Now if I run this particular program, you exactly get the same output. What? No, what is it says? One. What's gone wrong? Yes, you should say n into factorial dot 1. Num into factorial dot 1. Now when I run this program, you get the output as 120. See, both the functions, the old style and the new style, is giving the thing. Now one thing which I want you to carefully understand is, in case of normal programming you will use loops for the factorial, whereas here you are not using loops, you are using what? Function stack. Now what exactly 4 factorial of 4 is? Factorial of 4 is 4 into factorial of 3. Factorial of 3 is 3 into factorial of 2. Factorial of 2 is 2 into factorial of 1. Now finally it comes to factorial of 1. So when num is 1, since then the if condition is passed, correct, and it returns 1. So when it actually returns 1, then it actually comes back to the previous stack. Now I'll tell you one thing, nothing is interesting than debugging this recursion program and understanding it. Okay, now let us right click, run as debug the Java application. Okay, now now it is switching the debug perspective, correct. Now I'll press F5. So see, num value is 5, so it gets in to the else part, right. Now num into factorial of num minus 1, so I'll actually get in again. Now the num value is 4, now I'll get in again. Now the num value is 3, I'll get in again. Now the num value is 2. It is actually calling the same function. Now the num value becomes 1. Now it is returning, okay, factorial is 24. You see the returned 1. Now you see it is factorial function returned 120, and now the output comes as 120. If you are able to debug this program 120%, you will understand how the recursion works. I love recursion. Now this is how the recursion works. If there is a question in interview how recursion works, you say it uses function stack. All the functions are put in a stack, and the last function which returns the value, it goes to the previous function, returns the value, and that's how the whole thing is working. Okay, so we have seen in this particular video about what is method overloading, what is variable args, and what is recursion and all. So I would request you to write a Java program to calculate the Fibonacci series, right, using recursion, or greatest common divisor using recursion. Will you try this? Can you post the GitHub link in the comment? I would like to go through it. Yeah, this is actually works. Now let us summarize on what kind of questions you might be asked in the Java interview. Okay, so the first thing is, can you overload methods by return type alone? Nah. Can a static method call an instance method? Yeah, it can be done via object. What does variable varargs compile? Internally it uses an array. What happens when you pass an object to a method? That I am going to skip it right now because I have started object oriented programming. What is the difference between method overloading and method overriding? When somebody asks you the difference, explain what is A, explain what is B, and then tell what the difference is. Now I can't take the full question is because I still have to explain overriding to you. Overloading is same class, different names, different methods carrying the same name. Okay, and overriding is subclasses same signature. I'll explain that later, but this is the question which people is going to ask you. Now what is the risk of using varargs with overloading? It's ambiguity. Now you cannot confuse people, compiler may not resolve with method to call and all, so do not mix variable arguments and method overloading. So thank you very much for attending this particular video on this is a part 2 on methods on Java. As you know, it was pretty hands on, correct? So method overloading is resolved at compile time. Okay, the second thing is variable arguments. It is under the hood, it is array only. Recursion is a method calling itself, right? And one of the most important thing I wanted to tell you is never have too many arguments in a function. It is also not recommended. Ideally you should pass objects as arguments instead of, you know 7 arguments, 10 arguments and all. Yeah, thank you very much. In our next video we'll talk about arrays and strings. I'm really interested, right? I run weekend Java courses. They are just 5,000 per month, 2 days a week. If you are interested, please ask for a demo class or you can actually WhatsApp me. So nice, thank you very much. If you like my video, please subscribe this particular channel and share it with your batchmates. Have a good day. Bye bye.